Send it over to meteorologist Courteney Jacobozzi talking about severe threats potentially for today.
Yeah, of course, our weather impact alert between 2 and 6 p.m. because of rain and storms. And yes, as of the recent update from the Storm Prediction Center, an isolated severe threat as well. The level 1 of 5 threat goes for all of the area that extends over to the Atlantic coast as well, down towards the Palm Beaches. Essentially what this level 1 of 5 threat means, isolated severe storms are possible. I do think our severe threat is there, but I don't think we'll have widespread severe weather today. The individual threats that we're looking at, that tornado threat mainly stays along the Atlantic coast. However, that 2% risk for maybe an isolated tornado does extend into eastern and northern Polk County. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. But I do think that higher tornado threat, even though it is still low end, will be along the Atlantic coast. Our greatest threat today is going to be wind. And any severe storms, we could be talking wind gusts upwards of 60 miles per hour, which could obviously pack a punch and cause some damage. And with the timing being during your evening commute, just got to take it easy on the roadways if you run into any of the storms later today. Satellite and radar will show you that front to our north right now. We're going to be watching these areas of low pressure as they move a little closer, because that can always add a little extra lift to the atmosphere. And what we were watching yesterday with some of our model data was this cluster of storms that's developing in the central Gulf. It looks like it's breaking apart, not very organized, and that's good news, because if this did get its act together and move closer to us, sometimes you can get some pretty gusty wind along the leading edge of these clusters of storms. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. If that holds together, it could move into parts of the Nature Coast within the next couple of hours. But right now we are nice and dry. What you're going to notice out the door is that it is muggy out there. Very similar feel to yesterday morning with dew points in the low 70s. That's considered sticky. And all that moisture our storms will take advantage of a little bit later today to give us those heavy downpours. And that'll kind of fuel some of our storms as well, as will the heat. Already very hot out there. We're in the low to mid 70s inland, 76 in Lakeland, 72 in Bartow, 73 in Brooksville, closer to 80 closer to the water. In fact, St. Pete, you're already exceeding that at 82, 79 in Tampa, 77 in Clearwater, 78 in Sarasota. Let's take you hour by hour through the day with what to expect. And I did use a different model. I was looking at some of our recent model data, and I do think this particular model and this particular model run is doing really good with our setup right now. So late morning, a few showers will be approaching in on the Nature Coast. By about lunchtime, we'll have the chance for a few isolated storms down towards Sarasota and Manatee County. Here's a look at 2 o'clock. Hardee County, Highlands County, Polk County, maybe even to Hillsborough County. Some spotty storms will be possible. You might want to consider picking up the kids from school a little later today. By and large, our most widespread chance for rain will be between about 3 and 5 p.m., which is, of course, that evening commute. Notice along the I-4 corridor, the 75 corridor, Polk County, maybe into Highlands County, parts of the Nature Coast as well. Some rain, maybe some heavy downpours, and at this point also an isolated severe storm as well, with some gusty wind being that main threat for us. We'll start to quiet down through the evening, and then we'll be watching this low that will develop out in the Gulf. That could wrap around some showers overnight and into tomorrow morning, and we could have a few showers kick up around this through the afternoon tomorrow, but our rain chance lower for your Wednesday, and then that continues to sink south, giving us drier conditions back half of the week. Rainfall wise, we're generally looking at about a quarter to a half an inch, but notice along that I-4 corridor, we could pick up over an inch of rain. Highs today still plenty warm in the mid to upper 80s, and it'll be a warm and mostly dry week with highs in the 90s going into the upcoming weekend. Quickly looking at your marine forecast today. Obviously, you have to be careful for storms offshore, but light chop on the bay, seas at a foot. 7-day shows the weather impact alert for the storms today before we dry out back half of the week into the weekend, with temperatures staying quite warm.